Welcome back to Natural Living Homesteader. Today we're going to make some fermented green tomato salsa together. Hey y'all, it's Celine, and I got a lot of this stuff chopped up before it occurred to me I needed to turn on the camera, so sorry about that. I'm not using a very specific recipe today. I'll show you where I got the original recipe at the end of the video, and then I've kind of made it my own. So I already chopped up about 3 big green onions. I actually had some green and some red bell pepper, not onions, but bell peppers, and about 3 onions here. I used my food processor. You could chop it all by hand, but hey, why? So there I've got my onions. I'm going to add my peppers and my tomatoes, and I probably used about 2 dozen tomatoes there, and they are half green tomatoes, half red tomatoes. You can use all red, you can use all green, you can just use whatever you've got. I love this to use up my green tomatoes. Now I'm going to add some frozen cilantro that I had in the freezer that I grew in my garden, but it's not going to be enough because I am just a bit of a cilantro freak. You either love cilantro or you don't. I've heard some people say it tastes like soap, but I love it. So here I'm using my freeze-dried cilantro, again from my garden, and I love the freeze-dried herbs. They taste and smell just like they did when you picked them in the garden. So as you can see, I really love my cilantro. And again, that's a matter of taste. You put in as much as you want. And I do this a lot just by taste. So I am adding about 4 healthy teaspoons, so probably almost a tablespoon and a half of minced garlic. And I think I'm going to be adding some of my Thrive Life freeze-dried green chilies. I don't like jalapenos. The recipe, actually, the original recipe called for jalapenos, but I don't like them. They're too hot. So I use these mild green chilies, and they are just perfect for me. They're freeze-dried, again, as I said, so it's kind of, I would say maybe if you're using jalapenos, 2 to 4 jalapenos in here. And if you're using canned green chilies, which is perfectly fine, I would use 2 or 3 of those little cans of green chilies. Now I've got some lime juice from concentrate. I'm putting about a half a cup in there, maybe a third to a half a cup. Again, I do this by taste. And I really like the Mrs. Wage's salsa mix. You can get that at Walmart, at Rural King. I mean, I've seen it in lots of places. Got to give it a good stir because the seasonings go to the bottom and the dried vegetables go to the top. But I add a pretty good, that's probably about about a half a cup probably of that seasoning. Now that's optional. You can add just lots of cumin and chili powder and whatever else you like in there, but to me that just makes it so much easier than having to add, to 15 different spices to get it the right flavor. But you do what works for you. Now I'm stirring and I'm stirring and I'm stirring. This is what makes the fermentation. I am adding a good tablespoon and a half of salt here. That may not be enough. I may have to add some more. But that is what creates the fermentation process. And you want your mixture to taste like you made it in seawater. I mean, that's the kind of salty you want it. So if it's not salty enough, then you're going to need to add more. But I just go by that flavor. Does this taste like I made it with seawater? And if it doesn't, it needs more. So I've decided it's not quite, I like a lot of seasoning. I don't like it hot and spicy. I don't like it hot, but I like it spicy, if that makes sense. I'm adding a little more cumin. I add a little bit more Mrs. Wages, and I am putting in here, oh, I don't know, a good tablespoon. Now I'm adding another good tablespoon of chili powder. Again, this is optional. If you use the Mrs. Wages and you don't think it needs anything else, this is all to taste. This is just kind of me winging the original recipe to make it the way I like it. I wanted it spicier, just not hotter. So let's give it a try. Let's see. Needs a little more lime. So I probably total have added 3/4 of a cup of lime. Again, that's taste, and I'm going to give it a little more warmth, not heat, but warmth from these freeze-dried green chilies. And let's see, what else? A little more salt. It's just not quite seawater tasting enough. So that's about another teaspoon probably. So I did just a little under 2 tablespoons total, maybe right at 2 tablespoons. Again, I don't have exact measurements, but that's how I do things. So let's get this jarred up. I am using a 1/2 gallon jar and my mega funnel there, my great big funnel, and that is just saves so much mess. I'll put a link to that below. And let's get this jar filled. See how easy it is? I can just kind of dump it where I would have to spoon it with a regular size canning funnel. Doesn't that look yummy? I love this stuff. I just love this stuff. I go to the refrigerator with a spoon sometimes and just yum. Yep, I really like it. So then once you get it in there, you want to kind of tamp it down, and you want to wipe all of the little bits and pieces off from around the edge, from around the lip, because any of those pieces that are left above the liquid line are going to spoil. So here is a fermenting weight. It's a glass weight. I've seen people use rocks that they've boiled for half an hour, put in saran wrap or a Ziploc or something like that, but I want the right equipment. And you want to push it down until the liquid comes to the top of the weight. Then this is called a pickle pipe, and it looks like a baby nipple. It's got a little X cut out where the gases as it ferments can escape, but no new air gets in. And you don't have to have those. You can use a regular canning jar, not these white lids, but a regular canning lid, but you have to make sure you burp it every day or it could go boom. Now, this is what I had left after that 1/2 gallon, and I'm just jarring it up to eat fresh. So I am going to give one to my daughter and keep one, and they are delicious. I ferment this anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks. It depends on how tart you like it. Set it on your counter and check it every few days if you have a pickle pipe. And if you're using a regular mason jar canning lid, make sure that you are burping that daily to let the gases escape. You will love this stuff. So I'm going to leave the link below to the original recipe. Heidi from Healing Harvest Homestead gave me this recipe, and she is my good friend and herbalist mentor, and I highly recommend her. So check it out.